Tim, I'm gonna go back to this and I'm gonna play devil's advocate because we were kind of talking about it the other day. Like, in regards to like mimicking like sports specific movements in the weight room, like to get more, I guess, like take this to an extreme. We talked a little bit the other day, or you talked to me about like possibly doing a movement in the weight room and then immediately going over to like plyo mound and like actually doing a throw. Is that something that you've done before? Like what led to that idea? And like, is it something that you've like done with athletes before?
Yeah, the general concept is post-activation potentiation. It's been in strength and conditioning for a while.
Yeah.
So basically, we're not necessarily reinventing the wheel of weight training, but we're trying to progress the field. And so I'd say those concepts are purely just our ability to progress forward. Like, a squat's a squat, deadlift is a deadlift. It's not going to ever change, but how you coach it changes, and then also how you apply it and certain principles will change as well. So I think for me, I was very fortunate when I first started in this field to my old college roommate. He basically got me insight onto the triphasic and French contrast training before it was actually even a book. And so I started working those principles way back when, about 11 years ago. So and then throughout the evolution of the programming, that's something that I just kind of started to learn and transition, and it's worked before. And I've had a lot of great results with other professional athletes. And so that's where it's kind of, I guess, progressed through.
So give the viewers, because the viewers are a lot of check swing drama here in the postseason the last couple days, huh?
Brutal.
I don't know why they're so confident about it either.
At least they,
That's the part that's been killing me. That is.
That's
okay.
it. I got that.
I'd
being
be
a swing.
confident about that one too.
And that call can't be reviewed, right? They can't do a
man.
check swing review. It's all
No.
okay. It's all
Yeah.
subjective.
Yep.
Yeah. So give the viewer an example of what a post-activation potentiation grouping of movements might be.
Okay, yeah, so I think a simple one would be, let's say, back squat, like an eccentric back squat, and then you pair that with like just a regular squat jump, body weight squat jump or med ball squat jump, something like that. So, the sequence of what some of the things that we'll do that's very common is all actually more kind of plyometric movements in there. So we'll do a eccentric back squat, usually at 1 rep, and then we'll take a little bit of a break, and then we'll go right into a body weight plyometric, so just squat jump, box jump. Then we'll do a weighted one, so it'll be at a reduced weight, under probably 40%. Usually we'll hold on to a med ball or we'll do a hex bar. And then we'll do assisted squat after that. And assisted will reduce the weight, and basically it'll just kind of train the nervous system to fire at a faster rate than what your body's capable of currently doing.
So you actually kind of stagger it. So you go heavy to like body weight, a little bit more weight to less than body weight.
Yep, to lessen.
Okay.
Yep.
And then is that like you do those 4 in a row and then you go right back to the squat and you do it again, or are you mixing like a squat then with like a different movement in that, or?
So that'll be pretty much isolated to itself. We would focus just on squat.
Gotcha.
Some of the things you struggle with in strength and conditioning when you're coaching it is, like all 4 of us, we might only have one of the 4 that's actually good at squat. And it's just something too that, when you pick a main lift that you want to go into PAP with, so post-activation potentiation, you want to focus on the lift so you get good at that lift. So by the time you're into that block of your training, you have all the kinks out, so it's just really to really perfect the movement, make sure you have good form, good, loading patterns too is another thing.
Gotcha.
So a plyometric exercise, throwing can be considered a plyometric exercise, right? So for pitchers, do you ever what would you put together if you were going to use throwing as the plyometric exercise? Do you ever do that where you're doing a lift in the weight room and then you go do a throw and then you come back and do, because the throw would kind of be like your body weight exercise. So maybe you're throwing a 5-ounce ball and then you come back and you do a little bit more weight of something in the weight room and then you go throw an underload ball. Do you ever do a progression like that?
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily change the ball weight, but I would, so if you're going to do a bilateral movement, so a squat, you're going to do bilateral jumps. If you're going to do unilateral, so like a split squat, one movement that we commonly do, you're going to keep that unilateral throughout the progression. And so yeah, you would do a split squat. You would go into the mound. You would probably just keep. For me, I would personally just keep the same weight because we're working on PAP of lower body, so the weight in the actual hand does not, for me, matter. But what's actually present in the leg recruitment does. And so you would do your mound throw, and then you'd work maybe a resisted push, so lateral push. So maybe we'd do like a partner resisted lateral bound, and then you go into some kind of assisted. So we have overspeed bands, so we'd hook up and then go with the motion of overspeed.
Gotcha. So you're not looking at PAP for upper body necessarily. You would mainly do it in the throw if you're using the throw as like one of the exercises in the cycle. You're just looking at the lower body for it.
Yeah. And we will throw in PAP work for upper body as well, like plyometric, just arm speed movements, so quick pushes, stuff like that. But it's not heavily focused, for at least my beliefs.